It was a sweltering July afternoon in a dusty corner of a small Texas town, where the sun clung to every bolt and screw like a jealous child refusing to let go. In the corner of Ramirez Auto and Repair, 14-year-old Elena Ramirez stood with grease-streaked fingers and hopeful eyes, staring at a V8 engine that had refused to breathe life into an old '68 Mustang for weeks. Elena had always loved engines, not just the power or the roar, but the quiet language they spoke when no one else listened. Her father, Mateo Ramirez, a humble and gifted mechanic, had taught her that. But this garage wasn't just a haven for machines. It was a battlefield for pride, tradition, and prejudice. And standing across the shop was Vic Dawson, the foreman of a big-name garage uptown, who had been called in by the car's impatient owner after weeks of failed fixes. Vic was the kind of man who believed two things. Only men belonged under the hood, and only credentials proved skill. He chuckled dryly when he saw Elena peering into the engine bay. "You planning to fix that with fairy dust, sweetheart?" he barked, his voice thick with ridicule. "Maybe knitted a scarf while you're at it?" The mechanics around him laughed, but Mateo didn't. He stiffened, but said nothing. He knew this fight too well. Elena flushed, not with shame, but fire. Without saying a word, she gently reached into the mess of wires and bolts. She touched the distributor cap, then the ignition coil, her brow furrowing as if listening to a whisper only she could hear. Vic scoffed and turned to walk away, shaking his head. Then came the sound that stopped the world. The engine coughed once, twice, then roared to life, purring like a lion that had just remembered its pride. Silence fell over the shop. Vic turned around slowly, the color draining from his face. What did you do?" he muttered. Elena wiped her hands on her jeans. The grounding wire was misaligned. Tiny vibration shifts over time. The engine was fine, it just wasn't being heard. Vic looked stunned. He opened his mouth to protest, then closed it, realizing anything he said would only amplify his ignorance. But this story wasn't really about Elena's triumph. Not entirely. That night, the Mustang's owner, a wealthy car collector named Henry Carlton, asked to speak to her. He was a quiet man with silver hair and a cane carved from walnut wood. He told Elena that what she had done reminded him of his late wife, a mechanical engineer in the Navy, brilliant, overlooked, but unstoppable. "I've got a scholarship fund," he said gently. "Full ride. MIT, if you want it." Elena blinked. "I'm only 14. Carlton smiled. "Good. That gives you time to pick your dorm." The garage never looked the same again. Vic left, quietly and without ceremony. Mateo started putting up signs that read, "Talent doesn't ask permission." The local newspaper picked up the story. And Elena? She didn't want the spotlight, just the engines. But word spread. And something strange happened. More girls from the town began showing up at the garage. Some shy, some bold, all curious. Elena started teaching them. No lectures. Just listening. To engines, to instincts, to each other. Years later, long after she'd left for college, that same garage became the home of a nonprofit Elena founded, the Wrench Project, aimed at giving young women hands-on training in mechanical work, empowering them to believe in the possible, not the permitted. At the opening ceremony, her father stood quietly at the back, a tear tracking through the dust on his cheek. In a world that so often measures people by surface and tradition, Elena proved that greatness doesn't need permission. It just needs a moment to be heard. Because sometimes, the smallest voice in the room is the one that rewrites the rules. And sometimes, the one who's mocked for touching an engine is the only one brave enough to make it run.